So here we are, and welcome to another splendid episode of the Rock Your Stories talk show, Christmas special Secrets Revealed. And together with me today, you will find April Adams Pertuis. Did I got that right, April?
You got it right. That's beautiful.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah. I was so worried about this, and today I have a true American with me. That's you, of course. Normally I have other European guests, which doesn't make my English so bad. But today, today you will really hear the difference between my English and an American speaking English. And I'm so happy to have you here, April.
Thank you so much.
We have a little problem with the connections here, but it doesn't matter, really.
That's okay.
Nah, and I have tons of lamps in my studio because it's 3:30, no, it's almost 4 in the afternoon here, and it's dark outside.
Oh.
So I have 4 lamps, and the heat is on in so many ways. And April, this is such an interesting woman. I got to learn, got to know her when I attended a boot camp with her in the Light Beamers community, because April was for 20 years she's been a journalist and a video producer, and she's been working her way through all these TV channels and the private label businesses, and she's done so much things about journalism, telling stories, business stories, producing stuff in a very professional way, of course. But now she is working with the Light Beamers community, and she's found her mission in life. And that was the boot camp was about this, how to tell your story in a professional but personal way, and how this story actually can fuel your business into such great results. April, tell me, how do you even come up with the idea to start
working? First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I'm really super excited to get to talk to you and get to know your audience more. And, really to answer your question, how did this really come to be, was really just after years and years and years of doing what I do and speaking to so many people, and being hired as a video producer and going and interviewing people and putting their stories together. What I often found was, when I would deliver those stories to the companies or the people or whomever I was, talking with, they were often surprised about, wow, that's my story. And, because I really listened to their answers and found the true nuggets of wisdom and the true pieces of their story, that it's often surprising to them that that's really the pieces that I would put together and deliver. Because I really think what happens with that is that businesses and people of high success or whatever think that their story is all about the credentials and the how-to and the business strategy and all the things that certainly work, but it's really I would hear the personal stories and I would hear the emotional connections, and that's what I look for when I interview people. And bringing that into their story, they were often surprised, which got me thinking, how many people don't really utilize that part of their story, which is just their personal story, as part of sharing who they are when they are sharing their business and sharing what they do and what they offer and what their products are, whatever it is that you do, even your message. Mm-hmm. And specifically women, I really wanted to help women with this. I'm a woman, and I know how important it is for us to speak our stories and just own where we've been in our journeys. And if we can bring that into the workplace, it really makes us strong female business owners and entrepreneurs. And that's really where it came from, was just, spending 20 years in the interview chair and really thinking about what was I witnessing as a storyteller, what was I hearing that people were not making a connection, and where could I maybe step up and help in that area? So here we are.
Yeah, and I think you are spot on, because this is really so important for every business owner, but specifically for actually women.
Yes.
Yeah, because my experience is that almost every woman who are a small business owner or an entrepreneur or a consultant serving business to business or anything, they create a business around their passion.
Yes.
They want to share something to the world that they have learned through their life and what they have experienced.
Absolutely.
So it really, being connected to that force, that energy, or whatever you can call it, is so important when you communicate and when you do business.
Yes, this is what I call the light, which is so much about what my business surrounds itself. It's the core meaning when I talk about sharing our stories is I believe it's you shining your light, which is that internal source, because you have tapped into your personal power, your true energy. It's not frou-frou. It's a real thing. What people can feel you when you come alive and share something that matters to you and is important to you and gets you excited. People want some of that energy. So that is why sharing your story and making those connections for yourself first and understanding how your own personal story does relate to what you do as a business will help that light really shine for other people and draw them in with your energy, no doubt.
Yeah. And to all you male listeners out there, you hear this is important for everyone. But I also know that this is a very important piece in the puzzle for many women, because if you are really clear over your story and why you're here and what you're doing, this will also make you more powerful because you start questioning yourself. You stop question yourself, and you will not feel like you're faking because you are true into your bones to yourself.
Yeah, it really will help you find that confidence that we all need. We all have those questions and doubt and fear and worry and, what are other people going to think? And all those silly questions that we all experience. None of us are immune. We all have it. But when you go back to just, standing in that power and standing in your true source and knowing that your journey, your personal journey has led you here, then, sorry, I'm not sure if that cut out. My phone keeps ringing. Who's calling me right now? Come on, it's my mom. But when we stand in that power and we stand in our true story, just own our journey for what it is, then that allows that self-confidence to just kind of rise up and let the fear and the worry fall away.
Yes. And now we need to be specific here, because what we are talking about and will talk more about is the professional personal story. And I'm just mentioning this because, as we all sometimes know, there is a confusion here. And I believe that many people I meet, and maybe many of those who listen now, is not really clear over what we are talking about when we talk about the personal professional story. So I've seen some examples of what it is not.
Yes. Yes. Well, examples of what it's not is, we were talking about this beforehand, was really data. A lot of people think that their professional story that they should be sharing with everybody, and certainly there's a time and a place for some of this, but not let it be the example of who you are. Is, I'm going to check off all of my credentials. I'm going to check off all the things that I've accomplished in my career. I'm going to tell you exactly my step-by-step method of how to have this or how to have that or why this product will save your life. We get so stuck on sharing and only talking about our service and our products that we lose the opportunity to make a connection with our audience. And you have to remember who your audience is and remember that they're real people. And yes, you are going to have an opportunity to tell them how your product is powerful and is important and how it may help them and how your service does the same thing. But they want to know who you are first, not what you've done, not not all the credentials that you've accumulated in your career. They want to know a bit about you as a person, the journey that you've been on. They want to know some of the mistakes that you've made. They want to see you as a human being first. And especially today in our world, we have endless examples of people that we can purchase from that do probably very similar things to what you do. Okay, you're not you're not an anomaly. You're not the only one out there. I'm not the only one out there teaching storytelling by any stretch of the imagination. So the only people that are really going to buy from me and sign up for my workshops and join my community are the people that really make a personal connection with me because they feel like they in some way know me or understand me or they can relate to me. And that comes with sharing a bit of my personal story.
Yeah, because there are places for everything, I believe. And
Absolutely.
Sometimes, yeah, we might present our signature speech or our brand story, the thing where you actually tell how good our products are or our services.
Absolutely.
And hints and stuff. And then we have the personal, professional stories. And, as you said, that's not the time for your credentials or your actual presentation of your products. It's more about you. But the ditch I've seen being presented, you present your speech in a way that it's on the way other end of if there is some kind of ditches here. That's when people forget everything about the profession and just talk about their hobbies and their children and their trips and their life. And, they totally forget that they have been asked to talk about themselves because they are a professional person.
Right. Well, the key thing that I think most people leave out is the emotional connection. And I do think this is easier for women than it is men. That's sort of being sexist in some ways, but I just think in general, women are wired differently than men, and we are wired in some way to tap into our emotions easier than men do. However, we still have a lot of fear about sharing those emotional stories with our business audience because we don't want to come across as being not professional. We don't want to come across as, I think, some people even view it as a weakness, and I would just disagree. I think that making an emotional connection and just, again, sharing real stories of your personal journey as it relates to how you've come, to be where you are today and what you're doing today with your business is a really important piece of your story. It's like opening the curtain a little bit, letting people peek inside your curtain and see what's on the other side. And so that's not the perfect, professional put together person. We don't want to always come across as having it all together, of being perfect, of knowing it all, of being the only, person that can teach you this one thing. You have to just be real and say, I don't know it all, but I'm going to share with you my experiences so that maybe some of the lessons that I've learned along the way will help you maybe avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, or at least help you, move past it much quicker because you will know that someone else has been there before you and understands what it feels like to be in your shoes right now.
Yeah. And that, I would say, is one of the secrets of a professional personal speech, because it's also about branding yourself. And you said you should skip the credentials and stuff, but this is where the hard stuff is presented. If you do it in the right way and choose the right stories from your past in a personal, professional way, you are actually giving your audience the most important credentials of them all, that you've walked those miles in the shoes of those you want to help.
Absolutely. It is about, yes, you just said it. It is about showing other people that you've walked the walk, and that you're now talking the talk.
Yes.
So it is
on what I'm talking about. And that's how you should do it, in my opinion. I must tell you a story. For many years now ago, I I listened to a pastor who was teaching on how to take care of your marriage and avoid divorces and stuff. And afterwards, some of the women got to know that he had been divorced. And he didn't say a word about that in his workshop or presentation or whatever you can call it. Because he thought that that was a bad thing, because as a pastor, you're not supposed to be divorced right now. But then the reaction, do you know what the reaction was? I wish he had told us, because that would have made me listen even more to what he could teach us about how to take care of our marriages. Would have made it
absolutely
because then they would, from their opinion, that would tell them that he knew what he was talking about. He knew how hard it can be, and he knew what to avoid and what to do to make it work.
Absolutely. And that I think that so many people are scared and fearful. I think that's the thing that keeps us. It's like that thing that keeps you from folding the curtain back, is that, what are they going to think? What if they find out I'm not perfect? What if they find out that I have failed before, right? And we don't, as humans, we don't want to show other people that piece of us. But it's the piece of us, that's the secret. That's the piece that you should be sharing the most. There's a great, actually, in the, I don't even know if someone officially ever said this before, but in our most recent workshop, boot camp that you actually were a part of, one of the girls in that group shared the most profound statement, and it is so true, is the stories that scare us the most are the ones we should be sharing. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that exactly the way she said it, but the stories that scare us the most are definitely the biggest indicators as to the ones that you should be diving into and sharing with your audience. There's a reason why it scares you. And if it scares you, it's saying, let me out, let me out, let me out. Let the light shine on that story, and you will just feel the biggest. And oftentimes once, when I work with people and I get people over that part of it, and they do share that thing that scared them the most, all the time they come back, you were so right, you were so right, you were so right. This is the piece that people needed to hear, and they just feel so much lighter for having let it go. That fear of those stories, they hold us down. They're buried deep inside of us, and they just are heavy. They're heavy. And when you release that out, when you tell people and own it up and say, this is part of who I am, this is me, this is my story, and when you let that out, there's such a release and a confidence that comes from sharing it. It's really powerful. But a lot of people in business don't take the time to go that deep into their personal life and share. They just don't. That's a big mistake, in my opinion. It is okay to come across as being human, broken, traumatized, a lot of things, but because you're showing people that you've risen above that, you've moved on, you've gone on to have success, which is beautiful, that is a way that will encourage other people, and it will also make them have a connection with you, because then, like you said earlier, you will have shown them that you've walked the walk.
Exactly. If you put it together in the right way.
Right.
And I think there are more reasons for why we don't hear this so much, these kind of speeches that are really for real. Because it's about finding the stories. It's about daring, as you say, courage to actually use them. And you need, as you said, take the energy and the time to dive deep. And it's a process. And I myself have, at some point, tried to share a story that had not been through that process. And it was a very embarrassing moment for me and for the audience, because when I couldn't handle it, it was hard for everyone.
Yes.
You need to actually invest the time and the processing for being able to sharing it in a good way.
Absolutely. And there are times when you're not ready to share certain parts of your story because you're not all the way through it. I call it being on the other side. Yeah. And if you're not on the other side yet, it's okay. But that's why going through the process and understanding where you are with that particular piece of your story, and our stories are multi-layered. We have so many stories within us. And it really depends on your audience, and it depends on your message at that any given time to really figure out what personal story is relevant, right? And sometimes you'll come across a personal story that's relevant, but you're not ready to share it. And that is okay. We're not saying share it no matter what. Share it once you've processed and been through the journey completely to where you are on the other side and you have some perspective on that story. That's when that story is ready for you to share.
Yes, because it's also a matter of being able to inspire others.
Right, absolutely.
And and then you need to make sure that you can give that space to others to be inspired. And if you occupy that space with yourself,
right,
you won't give any space to those who listen. And it will be all about you. And the point of sharing your story is not that it should be all about you. It should be all about the audience. So, and this is a balance between private and personal.
Yes, I agree. I say that all the time. I say our stories really are not about us. They are about other people. Yeah. And that's why the stories are worth sharing, is because you can really help other people by sharing your stories. So you have to get over yourself. You have to get over yourself and it not be about your ego and about you. It is about sharing openly and willingly with other people to hopefully help them and serve them. That's what it's about.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that if I use a personal story in a good way, it makes other people think about themselves.
Yes.
And open up. And
Absolutely.
That's what we want, right? Because public speaking, which we are talking about now, is actually a dialogue. It seems from the outside like it is a monologue, but it's opening up for a dialogue. And the dialogue happens in your audience mind. So you need to give them the space for being into you and your message and answering in their heads. You know, you need to give them space to think about it and reflect.
Absolutely.
And process and stuff. You know, I just the other day, I came to think about something about storytelling. I will test it on you.
Okay.
As a communicator, we use stories. And those stories, as I said, are a communication tool that creates a dialogue. And what it actually, this dialogue forms like a bond between me and the audience, between us, and used properly helps me to drag them tighter to me, this bond, if I use the stories right. And this is what we want as a public speaker. We want to create that bond that brings the audience into our world. We can pull them into our world and our stories. And once they are there with us, we can start explore things. And we can start give them new ideas. We can start inspire them and motivate them and transform them, actually. Transformational preaching or speaking, whatever you want. That's the thing. Create that storytelling bond. And that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. But I think you're absolutely spot on with that. I think that is exactly what storytelling can do. And I really believe that it opens up dialogue, as you just said, to have relationships. Relationships in business is important. Mm-hmm. And it's important to treat your audience and your customers and your clients like valuable friends and having relationships with them. That doesn't mean you have to invite them over to dinner and all of those things. It's not about that, but it's about a human relationship that opens up because you've had a dialogue that makes a connection emotionally with someone that makes them feel like they are a part of your world. And they do feel like they've been, let in, and when that relationship is really an important piece of your business to build.
Yes. So that's another secret about the personal professional speech. This is your opportunity to create and build and grow your bond to your audience, your target group, or your people. I like to tell it your people, like.
Yeah, your people. Right? That's right, people. Because that's what everyone, I think, That's an important piece for business people to remember, is that your audience, they're people just like you, and they're experiencing journeys just like you, and they're on a, a path that they have ups and downs, they have successes and they have failures, they have confidence and they have doubt. And so they are just like us. We are no different. We all are made up of the human race. And so, it doesn't matter if we speak Swedish or if we speak American, it doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what color our skin is. We all have these emotional things in our life, these feelings, these fears, the confidence, all of that is an emotional connection.
Yeah. And, I don't know if I told you this, but as you heard, I attended April's boot camp because we all need to educate ourselves, right? And sometimes you can't just give, you need to get something. And I got a lot from April, so I'm really thankful for that. And we were challenged to write a small piece of our personal story. So I entered because I wanted to take a challenge, really. I needed that for my personal use and everything. So I took a small part of my personal story. And I don't know if I told you this, April, because we were challenged to write it in like 5 minutes. And then 4 sentences, right?
4 sentences, yes.
And I actually produced one that was 7 seconds.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Because out of these 5 minutes, I boiled it down to 7 seconds. And that's on my keynote, my workshop is how to create a 7-second pitch, a 7-second story. It's really called Rock Your Story with a 7-second pitch.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's a story in 7 seconds about you that pitch your services and business or whatever. But I created one out of my workshop thing. And I used that as an opening line.
For your talk?
And that was electric.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's just it. When you can boil it down and hit people right at the beginning with that power statement that becomes your own, you are going to draw them in immediately because you're going to know exactly what your story is and how to share it in 7 seconds. Wow, that's going to really grab their attention and they're going to love it. They're going to want to know more. They're going to say, okay, that's the 7-second version. Now tell me everything.
Yeah, that's what I said. I actually said. So that was my 7-second version. Do you want to hear the rest?
You want to hear the rest?
Yeah. So now you know it's possible. And you know that it will awake interest. So let's go on and see if we can find your 7-second pitch.
Yeah, awesome. I love it.
Are you curious? Do you want to hear it?
I do want to hear it, absolutely. You can't leave me hanging. You have to finish it out.
Yeah, you didn't ask, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought that's where you were going. No, well, please share with us.
I hope I will remember this right now, but I said, losing my job destroyed my life, but finding my 7-second pitch gave me a fantastic new career.
Yes. And see,
Silence.
Losing your job, right? That was so much a part of your personal story that you had to really dig in and start sharing to, as it relates to now what you do in helping others, get their stories heard, pitching themselves, rocking your stories as your business is called. But it was important for you to understand how you got there. You didn't get there overnight. You weren't always in this business. This was not always what you were. You were a former pastor, and so sharing that piece of your story, that's so important. And, and losing your job. I mean, that's a thing that some people are scared to say. It's like, oh, wow, I got fired. Those are hard words to swallow.
Yeah, and
but it's nothing to be ashamed of. It taught you so much, and it opened you up to the possibility and the opportunity of where you are today. That's a beautiful thing.
But this is even harder in Sweden, I must tell you, because in the States, so we've heard, the rumors are, for us in Sweden, that in the States, it's perfectly okay to fall forward.
Right.
Yeah, but in Sweden, if you fail, You got the purple card.
Right.
Right. So it's much harder in Sweden because if you failed, you're a failure.
Yes. And that's not what, that's not the, what you want to come across. I'm moving my phone a little bit because I'm going to move to a place where I can get my...
Right. Anyway, if any one of you out there want to hear my complete story, not the 7-second version, you will have to wait for another time.
You have to come to one of her talks.
Yes, you need to come to one of my talks and I will tell you the whatever version, because this is the thing. When you have your personal professional story, which you can present in 7 seconds or perhaps more usual 5 or 10 minutes or maybe in a keynote, what do I know, you can actually use perhaps the 2 minutes version and add it to your brand speech.
Yeah.
Yes, preferably.
That's what it's all about is developing.
A huge thing, a very good, huge, up leveling.
Yes.
It would really improve your professional speech if you add your personal professional piece of it to that one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%. I know that that's something that can be truly transformational for people. On a personal level, it's really powerful to do the story work because it does, regardless if you ever want to do this for your business or, make that business connection. I think it's most important that people do it for personal reasons because it really is a personal development thing to do story work. But if you do it and then really make that connection to how it relates to your business, you're just going to fly. You're going to really draw people in, and customers are going to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to want to know more, and you can grow your audience and really grow your influence as a result of that.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that you, who are a trained journalist and a video producer with so much years of experience, say the same as I do.
Yeah, oh, I know. It's great. Like I said, there are many of us out there that do this work. And, we all teach it from different perspective. Your perspective is in your journey to this point is very different than the journey I've taken, right? Yeah. But that's what makes us interesting. That's what makes our story unique. Our businesses may not be that unique because a lot of us do similar things to what other people are doing. So what's going to make you stand out is by sharing your personal journey. That's what makes you unique.
Yes, your hero's journey.
Yes, your hero. I love that you call it that.
Yeah, I think that's the last secret, because your personal professional story, think of it as your hero's journey. And this is really about your hero. You are a hero, and that's why you have a business, right? So it's the hero's journey.
Right. I am moving on you really quick because I have got to plug in. I'm getting a power notice. So ask your next question while I get my plug.
Well, I
don't want to lose my signal on you.
No, but I think we kind of have reached the end of this talk, because we have gone through it all and we have revealed some huge and interesting, great secrets about this. As usual, this Christmas Talks Mystery Secrets Revealed won't give you the ultimate solution, because there are no quick solutions and easy ways to do stuff. No. But we have given you the most important things about what you need to do. And it takes time, I know, but it's out there for you to just grab it and do it, right? And I will.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is if we just. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm plugging in so I don't lose you.
That's a good thing.
Can you hear me?
I see this as like a gift from us. You see this is a package.
Did I lose you?
No, you're still here.
Okay, sorry. I think my battery was going down. I was getting alert. So I wanted to plug in so I didn't lose you. I'm back and I'm plugged in.
Yes, she is on. As never before.
I'm back on.
Yes, and I'm saying it's time to round it up anyway. So I see this as, the tips and hints and then the secrets we reveal is kind of Christmas gifts. Yay.
I agree. I love it.
Today, I have noted 5 gifts in this little box. 5 treasures for you to, take care of and grow into something big for your business. And you can fill me in, but I noted 5 things, April. And this professional, personal story / presentation. The secret number 1 that you rarely think about is that this is your best credential or sales argument. So you need one. Yeah. And secondly, the secret to doing a good one is to share emotions, because that's where you start, creating this bond and being seen as a human being with experiences that they can actually, your emotions are so hard to fake. So they will know this is for real, right? And you will become a real person they can relate to. And the third thing is, it builds relations, of course. So I don't know. I say the third thing. This is a huge way for you to build relations to your people, your audience, your target group, call it whatever you want. It's people, as you say.
People. Yeah.
People. And be the hero of that journey. For me, I like heroes. You need to be a superhero. For your customers, you are a superhero. But this story is about you. You are the hero of this story.
Yes, sure. I love that. I love that you call it the hero story.
Yeah, the superhero's hero story.
Yeah,
How do you turn into that superhero that you actually are? That's
absolutely. Own it. You call it rock your stories. It's like, rock it, girl. I mean, this is what we've done in our life. Share that journey, share that piece of you, own it with confidence, share it with confidence, and just watch out and see what happens.
Yes. And don't you forget that you are a superhero. That's what I
right.
always end with that, of course. But there's one point more. It takes energy and time to do that process and really dig that deep and really create a story that you can share on a personal but not too private level that makes space for your audience in order to create that bond. Yeah. So you can drag them in.
It does. It requires you to do the work. It requires you to understand your story first for yourself, and then start sharing it with other people. I think you have to have a really good handle on it, and that takes asking yourself a lot of questions. It takes practice putting it together to where it makes sense. It takes some time to connect the dots, and maybe you need help with that. I mean, some people do need help connecting the dots. They're like, well, I have a story and I have a business, but I don't know how the two connect. They connect. I promise. There is a connection there. And so taking the time to do the work, get some help with the right people that can help you make those connections so that you can share that story really powerfully is important.
And there are plenty of us out there who wants to help you and, guide you or whatever, be your friend on the journey. And you know where to find me because I'm from Rock Your Stories, so published on that page. If you want to get to know more about April, she has a offering and you will find the links. She actually are kind enough to share with you her storytelling guide. Is that?
Yes, it's a storytelling guide. It's a very introductory step, but if you've really never thought about your story and how to share it, I give a formula for people. A lot of people want to know the how-to. And so I have a very simple formula that allows you to ask some of those questions of yourself to get you started on discovering what your story is. And it's about discovering the story that you need to be telling. And it's about discovering the key components of your story. So many people get lost in I call it the rabbit hole of details. And they think that their story, as we talked about at the beginning of this, is about credentials and data. And I'm a mom and I live in Texas and I belong to a workout group. And I mean, that's not your story. It's really understanding. Those are just details about you. But it's not the story, the key components of your story. So I have a storytelling guide that opens up that concept to people to get them to think about their story in a different way and gives them a little formula to follow to try to put that story together. So I'm going to be sharing that with everybody. And I also have a private Facebook group that's absolutely free filled with wonderful women who are also in there trying to rock their stories. And it's called Light Beamers Community. My business is lightbeamers.com, but on Facebook, I have a private group called Light Beamers Community. And the community word for me is really important because I do believe that when women come together and share their stories and creates community among one another, it just makes us all better. It makes us all better. It makes us all stronger. It makes us all more confident. It allows us to shine our light with other people. And I would invite any of your viewers and listeners and the people in your world to come and join me over there as well. That's how you found me. And I would love to invite your friends to join us there because it's a great, I do, obviously offer some story tips in there. We do on Wednesdays, we encourage people to share their stories openly via live stream, so getting into video. But there's just lots of opportunities in that group for you to learn from other people and share your own story for practice so that you get much more comfortable with sharing that story so that you can go out into the big broad world and share it with everyone.
Yes. And if you didn't really get the spelling or anything, I'm quite sure that I will put the links and stuff in close relation to this video. So
okay, perfect.
Yes. And if you want to hear more from our Christmas talk shows secrets revealed about for you business storytellers, there are more interviews at Rock Your Stories webpage, Facebook page. So you can just dive in and listen and learn. And I met so many interesting business storytellers like April. They are so brilliant. They are splendid. They're inspiring and interesting. And someone in your background is really waiting for him to take his space, right? Mm-hmm. So we end this up. And I just want to say to all of you who are listening still, so great to have you here. I'm so happy that you wanted to listen to our conversation. And I'm truly, really happy and glad and inspired by having you, April, in my little studio, whatever, from US and Sweden together. Splendid, fabulous, fabulastic, as I said.
So fun, fabulastic, yes.
And I know that from both of us in this Christmas time, do not forget that you are heroes and you are here with an important message and you will be one of those who change the world. Just continue to rock your story and stand in the light, beamers. And
I love it.
Keep up the good work. See you soon again, and thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. Bye.